Hello, welcome to My Startup TV. I'm Major Sunil Shetty. Today is a very special day for India, for Bharat. That is Kargil Vijay Divas. If you recall, many young men, over 500 of them, sacrificed, gave everything of theirs for the nation. As I always say, as long as they're going to be willing young men and women who are ready to sacrifice for the nation, our armed forces are always going to be full. And as long as our people, the citizens of India, keep loving the armed forces, we will keep writing that blank check. With that, let me introduce on this special show Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, who's a VSM, who's done about 37 years of service in the armed forces, in the Air Force. We are doing this special show called Soldierpreneur Show. This show is all about soldiers who in their second innings, soldiers like me who in their second innings have taken up entrepreneurship. That's why we call this show as Soldierpreneur Show. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the show.
Very much, Mayor Sunil. Thank you very much. It's a matter of pride and privilege on this honorous day to join your podcast.
Thank you, sir. So,
पहले तो काफी बधाइयाँ on Kargil Vijay Divas, and as a soldier, what are your thoughts when you every time when we talk about whether it is 1971 when I was 1 year old, and I heard a lot of stories from my dad. He was he was posted in Udhampur at that point of time, and then when I was myself in the uniform, Kargil happened. I'm very recently Operation Sindoor. So from a soldier to soldier, when you hear these stories, when you see these things happen, and Operation Sindoor has been now become a kind of a talk of in the global community, especially in the defense forces, how we obliterated our enemy in few minutes, 22 minutes as they say. So what are your thoughts, sir?
It's absolutely a matter of joy and pride for a Fauji. Any time to remember such days. I have no real great memories of 71. I was only 5 years old at that time, but I had personally taken part in Kargil. I was posted to a transport squadron in the northern sector, and on every day we were doing 3 to 4 sorties. I was in a flying squadron. We were doing sorties, and initially we had the hiccups. We were taking the bodies, we were taking the soldiers in the morning, and next day we were bringing out some bodies also. But very soon our forces got the bearings right and did the action what was desired, expected out of us. And of course, that's the history. And of Sindoor, we have it is a new paradigm of the war gaming which has happened. And suddenly, India is going from strength to strength. And I'm sure with the leadership taking the correct decisions and the public at large putting a kind of a show and solidarity behind the soldiers, we will suddenly be forced to reckon with in the next decade or so. It will be a real superpower in the world.
very true, sir.
And already Operation Sindoor has shaken the mighties of the mighty armies of the world, and follow up with that is F-35 not able to get out of India. There are a lot of stories because there is no official confirmation about it, and I write a weekly geopolitics article for a local newspaper, and that's what I was talking about, how India has turned its silence into another weapon. So uh, as somebody who's put in 37 years of service, if you could talk take us through your own journey and how have you seen the Air Force evolve when since you started to you decided to move out.
Oh, fine. I'm basically an engineer, electrical engineer to be precise. Did my post graduation into the electronics and communication, and my initial journey was in the Air Force was into the communication field. To be precise, in the troposphere communication into the FNet, and slowly I got into the electronic warfare. Then preparing the electronic out of the battle. I worked with the DRDO and got the Best Scientist of the Year award from the DRDO. And I continued, came back to the basic core of engineering, did my tenure as senior engineer electronics, did my tenure as chief engineering officer. Then I was command engineering officer of the base of the complete command one of the complete command, very, very operational. And that time also the Doklam thing happened. So we were very, very engaged during that time. Again, worked for some time in the ADA for the designing of the new LCA Mark II. And luckily, I had been a part of the programs into the Air Force, which is in link with the government programs of Digital India, Skill India, and lately, before my retirement for last 2 to 3 years, I was working in the Directorate of Aerospace Design, which is equivalent to the Army Design Bureau or Naval International Innovation Organization. So did a lot of work for the startups there, did a lot of work for supporting the startups, and a lot of problem statements were solved by the young budding engineers. And that is the time I thought, okay, after retirement, let me also do a startup. That's how I ended up. The day I retired, I thought I'll be putting up my own startup. So I created my own startups, and luckily doing well.
That's an
Amazing
amazing.
journey, sir. From starting off, 37 years, the Air Force itself has gone through, you know, multiple changes, right? With the technology change, the equipment has changed, and even the warfare has changed. Recently, I was watching a video when they said, one of the conversation with a strategy who was talking about how once upon a time, dogfights in the air were the thing, right? Today, Rafale can be well within India, Indian borders, and still fire something accurately, which goes through a hole and destroys. So it has been a huge journey. So as a somebody today who's a soldierpreneur who's seen it, technology move, within the Air Force, and then today you yourself are building drones. Where do you see in coming time, our forces go, when it comes to adoption of technology and warfare itself change?
Very clearly established now that from a content contact warfare will be getting into the no contact warfare. From a dogfights will be we have already graduated into the site where we are not into the visual contact, and we are working from the weapons which are working from the far off ranges. And as far as the similarly the manual intervention is getting largely supported by the automation, and in the times to come already it is happening, the artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to play a more and more vital role. And contact warfare will soon become a history, except when army really moves with its boots on the ground to take over the territory. And till the time, the aim is not taking control of the territory. It will be more or less, it will be no contact warfare, and it will be fought from far off distances from the actual impact place.
So the
Hey,
way.
I understand this is in coming time. It's not going to be just the man and the machine. It's also the technology that both of them use together. Both of them have to be in sync with each other. The man should be able to, when I say man, I'm talking about the air warrior, should be able to sync in the technology, sync together with the technology. Like what we saw in Avatar movie, right? You sync in with it and then you fight. That means even the officers, the Jawans who are going to come in, they have to have a certain level of technology understanding. Is my reading right? Correct?
In fact, the future Javans have to be a technical Javan. He will be a real technical Javan, and he will be knowing the machines very well. He'll be knowing the technology very well. He'll be knowing how to play with these machines and how to create havoc into the enemy camp, not just by his own bravado, but by the real intelligence played into the systems. And the weapons also will become more and more intelligent. Technology will play a greater role in every warfare. It is happening. It is getting proven in every war. It is happening.
In fact, we saw,
How Indian Air Force used deception to create an impression. I mean, I'm just connecting the dot. If you see the briefing that was done by the Pakistan Air Force, which they talked about more than 100 plus aircrafts, taken off in one go. When you connect that back, and then you see the analysis done by some of the foreign analysts, and they said it was decoy. So what Pakistanis were seeing were decoys. So the deception itself has taken everybody by surprise. So that's what is going to be there, right, in coming time.
Surprise has been always one of the main principle of warfare, whether element of surprise, secrecy, offensive action, concentration of the forces. Only thing, the way it is being used is getting changed. So more and more technology will be used for creating decoy, for creating whether an attack is happening or it is imminent, and from what angle, which is the platform which is actually going to strike. So these kind of deceptions were used very very beautifully by Air Force, both for defensive action as also for the offensive actions. So it was enemy was absolutely kept only the guessing in the recent Op Sindoor operation.
Very true. Viewers, we are in
Conversation with Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, VSM, who's a soldierpreneur who, in his second innings, after hanging his uniform, has taken to entrepreneurship and is building drones and technology. Sir, now coming to the second part of our conversation, it's not easy for a service person to come out and then adjust into or set into or get into the world of entrepreneurship. Even transforming from armed forces to a civilian life is difficult. It's a challenge in itself. But within that, taking over or starting a business of your own and then running it, that's a completely different ball game. If you could share, how was your journey and what made you take to entrepreneurship instead of looking for, because with your credentials you could have been part of Tata's or any of those Reliance, any of those defense companies, big companies, isn't it?
Thing was very much on the card, and I had a lot of because of the tenure which I was working just before my retirement was very very lucrative post on which I was working. It was in the field of director of aerospace development, and a lot of innovations were involved. I was engaging with lots of companies, both Indian and foreign companies were engaging, and I was into the field where we were into the procurement of the armament and the equipments. So a lot of opportunities were there. But when I really started thinking on those opportunities, I felt my technical acumen and my mind as an engineer will be lesser used, and my contents because of my position will be more utilized by these offers which at least I had in that of time. And I suddenly wanted to make a change, and whatever things I could not do into the forces, I wanted to do it myself and to want to see, because I have been engaging with a lot of startups and I was promoting them. I just wanted to see, let's get into the other side of the fence myself and try to see how it happens. So but very frankly, I had made my designs very very clearly, and fortunately for me, I never had too much of troubles getting transitioning from the defense to the civil, because I had always kept my foot on the ground, and I knew the value of each man, how important it is. And ultimately that's what matters, your relations, your relationships, your how to communicate with the people, that matters. So actually for me, the journey so far has been good, smooth, and we have been achieving what we have planned, maybe 2 years back, then 1 year back, then 6 months, or I know how I'm progressing in 6 months from now, where I'll be. Generally all those things are actually ticking right on the graph. So it has been good for me. I thank my parents, my friends, and my God Almighty for these things.
So,
You
when you
decided
decided,
to hang your uniform, come out and start entrepreneurship, was there any preparation that you did while you were in the forces? I'm asking this for all those people who are all all those serving personals who are also looking on the same thing. They have to step out, take up a job, or start their start their business. So any preparation that you did that would come handy.
Yeah, the answer is yes and no. Yes means my mental makeup was absolutely clear. So I was mentally absolutely prepared myself. I was preparing myself in the last 6 months or so that I have to transition into the civil. I have to be an entrepreneur myself. I have to be in these kind of technologies. But as far as the preparations on technical level or on the drawing board things, no, I did nothing during the service till the last day. I was totally working for my cause. But the day I retired, almost from the next day, I started my preparation. And within 4 months, my company was born. And within 6 months, my operation began. So the journey became good. But preparations mentally, I had prepared myself, and that's what makes man strong. If mentally you have strong, and if you're made your things clear to yourself, then you can make things very very clear. What happens, most of us while in service, they will get used to a kind of life, and we don't prepare ourselves before we hang our uniform to a different kind of life. And if your mental makeup is not there, then a lot of obstructions will come, self-created obstructions will be coming, because you have not prepared your mind for that. So I prepared mentally myself for this new journey, and that made me very very strong in my operation, day-to-day operations after I left the service.
That is what is
Important. So when you're coming out, that's what I did. In 2000 when I decided to, hang my uniform, was I was very clear that I'm going to get into journalism, and the very thought that I'm going to do this is what made it easier when you come out, because you are very clear what you want to do, and then you start building towards it. And I think that's what armed forces helps us prepare for, right? Have a very clear vision what you want to do, and then get into that. So coming into your entrepreneurial journey, you founded two companies. One is into IT, and the other is into drone manufacturing. So if you could talk about your drone venture.
One thing, it started attracting me for about last 10 years in my service. Whenever I used to see a drone, and whenever I see, because I had every time there used to a big crash used to happen, or any other crash used to happen, we used to always think that are we really required, a man is really required to get into the cockpit and go to the kind of environment which is infested by the enemies or infested by the other inherent dangers, and how can we avoid this kind of thing? That was always there in my mind. And as I kept seeing the UAVs which we had into the services, it made me very clear that a lot of things can be done. But then I had decided that I'll be going more for these applications into the commercial world, into the civil world. And I could see enough of market is there, enough of business is there into the civil world, also for the drone. So I started preparing myself that yes, this is where I'll be going into it. So absolutely fine. But yes, now drone has become a very very buzzword, because in most of the warfares which is happening in the recent past, whether it is Armenia, Azerbaijan, whether it is Russia or Ukraine, or whether it is India, Pakistan, to be very very recent in the Op Sindoor, they are playing a very very major role. So, but yes, of course, just to clarify to you, I'm not into the any my drones. I'm just making drones for the civil world, for the forest, for the police, for the town planning, for the commercial worlds. Currently, I'm not making any drones for the army or for the air force.
so
Do you
do you
manufacture
manufacture?
them? I mean, are these your parts for drones? Do you import them, or do you manufacture it yourself? And if you do, where?
Which we do not have enough of the reliable manufacturer in India. Most of the parts, my flight controllers I design myself. It's chip level manufacturing we do myself. My battery management system we do it ourselves, and most of the other parts also, the frame I make it myself. Most of the other parts also are made in India, but I'll be very very frank. My camera, we are still depending on the imported supply.
And one of the things that
Our program is watched mostly by young, in the age group of 18 to 24. They form the bulk of our uh, viewers, and these are mostly students, engineering students. Are there any internship opportunities for them with your startup?
Website of Dylog Global IT or Dylog ITES, three internships positions for the young engineers who are either in the pre-final year or the final year, or the who have just graduated from the engineering. We have got three engineering opportunities for the internship. Last 2 years, I have helped about 15 engineers getting placed in the very good companies. They did internship with me. They worked for 3 months to 6 months, and I helped them to graduate because naturally, if their dreams are bigger, so I help them to get into the big companies. Some of them are now working in the USA, some of them are working in the Germany, and some other in the very very big companies in India. So we always keep having 3 to 4 people who work with us internship, so that they learn with their hands, with their mind, and they prepare themselves for the better opportunities.
are any specific areas that you
Because as you're in drone manufacturing, are any specific streams you're looking for, like whether it is from mechanical or electronics, any specific fields?
Very frankly speaking, I feel the engineering has become engineering is more of a qualification and a professional degree these days. In our time, when I did my engineering, there used to be just about 2 to 3 people who percent people who used to do engineering, and the remaining people were doing the other streams. Nowadays, 80% people are getting into the engineering, so it has become the branch has become absolutely irrelevant now. But yes, I have different opportunities for the people into the field of carbon printing, 3D printing, for into the frame manufacturing, for the mechanical engineers, people who are into the IT world for the programming, because nothing works these days without the programming, without the coding. So I have opportunities for the people who are into the IT side, or for the people who are the electrical side. But generally, the young engineers are very very sharp. They pick up the things very fast, and irrespective of the branch, I have utilized them on any job. They within months they get and start doing what is expected, and they start delivering what is expected from them.
So going forward, what's the vision for Dialogue ITS Global Solution? What's the vision you have going forward in next 5 years time?
We started just about 2 years back, and currently I'm able to sell one drone, manufacture and sell one drone per week. We intend to get into that two per week in about 4 months from now, and maybe in a year time, maybe one drone per day. That is the thing as far as the drone is concerned. My other startups where we are into the coding, so I'm not a very high turnover. It is less than a CR in a year currently. So that want to expand it to at least 3 CR in the next year, next financial
what
Developments you think are going to happen in drone industry? Because yesterday I was reading an article shared by a friend of mine, where I think it is in Norway, where a bunch of young kids, showcase a drone that could fly and then dive into water and then go underwater. So when you look at things like that happening, that's total disruption, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, see, technology has got really no limitation. There is no limitation, and whatever you see in the nature, you see the birds which fly and which they go into the water. So, whatever you see in the nature and whatever we have imagined and seen and heard in the Ramayana or Mahabharata, nothing is impossible. Everything will be proven in this very world, and we will be lucky to witness these things with our own eyes. As far as India is concerned, I'm very sure that we will become the drone capital of the world. We will be the as also on the arms export. We will become one of the biggest arms exporter to the world, arms manufacturer, including the fighter aircrafts, transport aircrafts, drone. The future is very very good, very very bright, and it's only thing, it is taking time. It is taking time. Currently most of the things are what people are making are the assembled, or we get to the parts. We are not too much into the transfer technologies, But remember the days when we were into the college and I saw a Honda came and it was Hero Honda, it was TVS Suzuki, it was Escorts Yamaha. But now all these companies are making their own. The Suzuki came now, but we are making cars ourselves. So it takes time. It takes about earlier it used to take about 2 decades. Just in about 5 years time we will have our own technology, we will have our own manufacturing facilities, and we will be a force to reckon with in the world of arms and in the combat equipment what the world will use.
With Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, VSM, who's a soldierpreneur who, after leaving Air Force, after 37 years of service, he started his own company, which is into drones and IT. So, sir, going forward, do you think at some stage, as you said, we're going to be a drone capital, and and we're going to be one of the big exporters to the world, when it comes to military equipment. Do you think even the warfare is going to be going to be dominated by unmanned vehicles, unmanned equipment?
Although many people will not vouch for it, and many people are keeping their eyes shut to it, but things are already happening in the world, whether it is multi man unmanned teaming, whether it is the use of UAVs into the both above the surface into the air or into the underwater things, or whether it is the robots onto the ground. More and more warfare will be in the contact, it will be the using the unmanned technologies only. The man will be at least 200 to 300 kilometers away from the border, sometimes even much further than that, and it will be controlled by the elements. It will be man will be behind the machines certainly, but it will be more and more unmanned warfare in the future.
And you and me are part of the
uh, how strong is the association, or is there a formal association for drone manufacturers, or or those companies or startups that are into drone manufacturing or drone services?
Yeah, so I'm part of Drone Federation of India, which is an umbrella organization for almost 93% of the drone companies in India. And it is doing a great job. Drone Federation of India is doing a great job for giving very well insights, technical support, making them supporter, putting the voice of the drone manufacturers to the government, creating an ecosystem. So it is not a formal association, but Drone Federation of India, there are other federations also, AUVSI and some other associations also there. So but a good thing is happening. What is required to be done is currently each drone manufacturer is almost trying to do everything on his own. What is required to be done by the government is to create different clusters and create leadership positions into the drone component manufacturing. As I told, the camera manufacturing, we have practically no one in India who is making it. Drone motors, there are companies are there who are making it, but we have to create different clusters to make the drone motors, to make the flight controllers, for the RCS, for the batteries, cells, from the wire batteries, cell manufacturing, and for the propellers, frames, and to the drone softwares also, which are there. Currently, many of the drone manufacturers are straightway taking the softwares or the firmware from the companies abroad. So a concentrated approach has to be done, and different clusters have to be, as also the policy for the have to be eased out a little bit. To test a drone or to get a type certification for a drone is such a difficult thing in the current environment. These things have to be eased up, and in the various geographical facilities, we have to create more and more drone testing centers inside and outside to validate, test, and validate their performance. And the DGCA and Quality Council of India has to create different clusters in the various geographical facilities for supporting these drone manufacturers, and the process of drone certification, type certification have to be made much more easier, user friendly, so that these they are not roadblocks, but they are hindrance to our progress. So the how ease to of doing business can be done. We have to do a lot of job. So government has to do a lot of things on that, and Drone Federation of India has to suddenly become a catalyst to get these things happening in India.
So basically, what you're saying is like the
Automobile
automobile.
industry, uh, the likes of Motherson Sumi, they manufacture from wiper blades to seats, and the big brands like Maruti or the Fords, they buy from, they buy the accessories from this company. You need a similar kind of structure where companies like yours probably or other startups could become accessory manufacturers, be it camera, be it the propellers, be it the mainframe, and those can be taken up by bigger companies to assemble them and then offer those drones as a service, isn't it? That's the whole idea.
You have very nice analogy you have given. You see, Munda, whether you see Subros, whether you see Motherson Sumi. So there are these companies are there. They have become a force to reckon within themselves, and the manufacturers abroad are also taking items from them. So we have to create these strong clusters and these strong manufacturers in the very their own field, and then we have to have a bigger companies who take the parts from them, and they have this thing. Absolutely correct.
So
Going
going forward.
forward, you said you already said India is going to be the drone capital, and you also laid out what needs to happen. Is there any role that education institutions can play in making India as a drone capital of the world?
To be very, very precise and to be very, very honest, lots of IITs and NITs are already doing a very good jobs. Some other engineering colleges are also doing very good jobs. I see a lot of things happening in IIT Kanpur, IIT Madras, Indian Institute of Science Bangalore, some of the other colleges also. But the three people have to be together: armed forces or the customers. I'll say two things: defense, non-defense. So in the defense, armed forces and the market forces, they are the one end of the spectrum. Second end of the spectrum is the manufacturers, industries like me, and third is educational institutes which have got this intellectual capital. These three have to be absolutely in cohesion, and the research which is happening, technology which is coming, has to pass on to these people, and the requirement from the user have to come very clearly in the clearly specified words to the technical institutions and to the industry, and they have to work together so that they know exactly, if I start manufacturing today, I should know for 3 years from now this is what is required. So the research has to happen today, and 1 year from now the research has to start getting tested. So these three have to work absolutely in the most galvanized fashion, in absolutely sync.
And for anything.
There is a need for financial support or the investments, right? What role do you think financial institutions, or what changes can financial institutions and investors do where they can support startups like yours?
The attitude of the banks have to change today. Those who do not need loan, these banks are sitting on their head every day, up loan le lijiye. And those young startups who are just want to go, they are absolutely left in lurch, and they are not really helped. Although the schemes are there, CGSS is there, CGSTME is there, but to get the benefit out of them is actually very, very difficult. So, like the IDEX program, Innovation for Defense Excellence, which is such a beautifully designed program, where it is not really a grant, but 1.5 CR to 10 CR are given, and even if you fail, the amount is not recovered from them. You are given a problem statement, or he gives a problem statement. You start making it. If you succeed, it's good. If you don't succeed, nothing is taken, because ultimately someone has made an attempt. So they tell it, fail fast, recover faster. We have to have faith in our young entrepreneurs and students, bright students, institutions, and we have to help them, because I have seen in my service career the parts which we are importing for 100 rupees. I'm just giving an analogy. So, so say 100 crore, these young startups have given me in 1 CR or 2 CR. So that is a kind of scale which can be given, which can happen if we start having faith on them. So a very good helping hand has to be there. and currently which is not there. Even the government scheme of CGSS on CGSTME, it is very difficult to get hold of those things. So the environment has to be made more conducive. I'm not saying it is bad. It is certainly much better than what it used to be 10 years back, but lot has to be done onto the ground. The policies have to be seen that they are actually working, and without much pressure, things are coming to the handy to the entrepreneurs.
And somewhere
Even
even
the soldiers or the officers or the personal armed forces personnel, they also have a role to play, because with the Agniveer program, equivalent to Agniveer program, where people can come out in 10 years time, SS officers like me who would come out in 10 years time, they carry with them a lot of knowledge and experience and insights of what is the need, the real need of the armed forces, and they could come out and once they become entrepreneurs or they join companies, they can add a lot of value to it, isn't it, to speed up this process?
Actually, if you give me just about 2 minutes time, you have touched upon a topic of Agniveer, which very urgent attention is required at the top leadership, because very correctly summed up that they are really experienced people, they are knowledgeable people, they are very talented people. Secondly, they are very disciplined people. If these intellectual capital, if this knowledge capital which is used correctly, they can do wonders. Then the real benefit of Agniveer scheme can be seen to the world. But if their hands are not held, if either they are not given help to become entrepreneurs, or if they are not correctly absorbed, so there is actually a win-win situation. Industry can get talented people, these people can get very good job, or they can get very good they can set up their own job. But again, a mechanism has to be set up where I know the problem statement, which industry requires what kind of people. We have to prepare these Agniveers for this thing. So maybe some other time we can discuss on this thing. It requires about 30 minutes, but actually it is the need of the hour, that smooth transition of Agniveer into the civil world for gainful utilization in a win-win situation, all by the government, all by the industry, and by the Agniveers, is certainly very much required.
no, I agree with you, sir.
Trained human resource, disciplined human resource are an asset to the nation, and how do you use them, how do you deploy them, where do you deploy them, needs to be worked out much ahead of time. It should not be like when I came out in 2000, the only thing I could think of was, or I was rather offered, was a security job, which I was not ready to do it, because I personally felt I could do many other things better than just being exploring the same old thing, which is security job. So I fully agree with you. And viewers, we are in conversation with Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, VSM, who's an entrepreneur who turned an entrepreneur after leaving Air Force. He has done 37 years service in the Indian Air Force, and currently he runs two companies which is into drone manufacturing and IT services. So, if you have to give, if you want to share some thoughts or advice with, people who are still in uniform and about to retire, for them as to how good is this opportunity to become a soldierpreneur?
I feel generally the young people are very intelligent and they're sure. But I will only say, decide first, make up your mind, and work it out what exactly you want to do. As we say, plan your work and work your plan. So we have to be mentally prepared, and we cannot be indecisive. Take a decision. It may go wrong, no problem. If you really fail, chances of which will be very less, then you can take a recourse. But take a decision, make up your plan, start working on your plan, and opportunities are enough. I'm telling you, द फौज हमें इतना कुछ देती है, इतना कुछ सिखाती है, जो हम रियलाइज नहीं करते। वो हम रियलाइज तब करते हैं जब हम बाहर आ जाते हैं, तब हमको पता पड़ता है कि कितना हमको फौज ने दिया है। तो उस सभी जो हमने उससे सीखा है, उसको अगर हम एक सही एंगल में चैनल कर लेंगे, जो एंगल आपको डिसाइड करना है कैसे एंगल में करना है, आपको नौकरी करनी है या आपको अपना खुद का बिजनेस करना है, या आपको क्या करना है, अगर आप डिसाइड कर लेते हैं आपको एजुकेशन फील्ड में जाना है, टेक्निकल फील्ड में जाना है, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में जाना है, सर्विस में जाना है, that you have to decide yourself. But once you decide and you Remain consistent on your path. Success is there for you always and always.
Very well said, sir.
The takeaway from this conversation is plan your work and work your plan, which is very nicely put. So before I let you go, my startup TV, the media house we run, is dedicated for entrepreneurs like you, for startups, and we cover from our 5 verticals, which is a digital magazine, a web television, OTT platform, and also podcast. Our whole aim is to showcase entrepreneurs, which the mainstream media does not pay attention to. What do you think the kind of work we are doing?
Very great work you are doing actually. And the best thing is you have given a platform to the soldiers, because many a times when we come out from the services, we are in a absolutely, we are in a kind of a sea where we do not know. So actually you are giving, you doing a human service, you are giving a very very good job, because you are giving a platform to the soldiers. And if they really utilize this platform actually and connect in a network, because networking works in any environment. So if we are very well networked, we can do wonders for ourselves. So actually for thanks to you for giving such a platform to the soldiers.
And thank you very much, sir.
Joining us on our special edition of Soldierpreneur Show, and we hope to see you again, host you on some of our panel discussion around drone technology, IT, and anything around defense. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. I was in conversation with Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, VSM, who's a soldierpreneur who, after leaving Air Force, started his own venture and currently runs 2 startups, which is in the drone manufacturing and IT. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining.
And one more matter on Agniveer, certainly anytime I will love to join.
We'll definitely do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.